Alright, Thrill Seekers. That was a rendition of the bass line from Love Roller Coaster by the Ohio Players, also famously covered by the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the movie Beavis and Butthead Do America. I think that's where it appears. So that a lot of people know it from that version. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, say what? Love Roller Coaster. And that rendition was brought to you by plugging this thing, this Black Star amplifier, into the longest extension cord in the world, which I have run into my bathroom because that's the nearest outlet to where I'm sitting. I don't know how long. This is a huge extension cord because the Black Star amp battery power went away and I don't know why. So anybody who has experience with those, please let me know. So speaking of Love Roller Coasters, which this has nothing to do with that, I've been asked by a few people to comment on the relationship between Buddhism, Zen Buddhism in particular, and the New Age movement. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. Now, back when I was a young whippersnapper just getting into this Buddhist stuff, I was 18 or 19 years old, and simultaneously it just so happened that my mom got really into reading the books of Shirley Maclaine. Now, some of you know who Shirley Maclaine is and what her books are about, but some of you don't, so I'll explain. Shirley Maclaine is an actress who came to prominence in probably the early 60s, and she's still acting today because I just looked her up on Wikipedia, and she has a new movie she's in this year, so she's still out there working, and good for her. But in the early 80s, she started writing books about her various experiences with something that was brand new to her. And I just last week watched the movie that she made about this. I guess this came out in the 80s. If I was aware of it, I didn't see it then, but I just saw it a couple weeks ago, in which she plays herself in this two-part TV movie, which is a cumulative 4 hours long, so don't say I don't spend time for you guys on these videos. Which she talks about these experiences, which she wrote about in her book Out on a Limb. And she also wrote a book called Dancing in the Light about the same subject, and she probably wrote some others. The ones that my mom read were Out on a Limb and Dancing in the Light. I remember because she had both of those, and I used to thumb through them occasionally. And the deal is, at some point in her, when she got into her 40s, somebody came to her talking about reincarnation, and she'd never heard anything about reincarnation, being a sort of typical American person who grew up in the U.S. and never heard of the stuff. And she got really interested in this, and she had some pretty strange experiences around meeting people in ways that seem kind of odd. And she went to Peru to do some sort of explorations into UFOs and things like that. And then she met this guy in Peru who I think was another American who claimed that he had been in contact with a woman who turned out to be an alien emissary from another planet who was here to tell us all about reincarnation, how we can save the world, and so on and so forth. So all this was taking place at a time when what was called the New Age, what still is called the New Age movement, was starting to become real popular and trendy in the West. And the New Age movement, when I first started hearing about it, was when I first started getting into Buddhism. So I got into Buddhism first, and then I started hearing about the New Age movement. A lot of people went the other way, so maybe I can talk about that if I remember. But anyway, so the New Age movement, probably you could trace the roots back to the activities of the Theosophical Society. And I just got off a Zoom meeting with a guy from the Theosophical Society, and I'm going to be doing a lecture for them. which will come out, I think, in late summer, but I'm supposed to record it over the next couple of weeks. Anyway, so it's the Theosophical Society. Now, don't I'm just doing this all from memory, so don't take this as gospel. But it was started by several people in the late 19th century: Colonel Olcott, Annie Besant, Madame Blavatsky, a Russian woman, who became interested in books like the Bhagavad Gita and the Dhammapada, the sort of foundational books of Buddhism and Hinduism, at a time when it was very difficult to even find translations of these books into Western languages. I think a few translations had come out. I think The Light of Asia was one of them, and there might have been translation of the Bhagavad Gita. But the point is that they had trouble getting access to the information that they wanted to learn about, but they put a lot of work and time into it, and they got translations made, and they started working with it, and the Theosophical Society became very trendy. The New Age movement is different, though. The New Age movement is sort of like the Theosophical Society would be sort of the intellectual, maybe you could say, wing of this interest in such things, and then the New Age movement that grew up around it was sort of the popularized version of it. I'm kind of truncating things, but basically the New Age movement is interested in a lot of ideas from Hinduism and Buddhism, and people like Shirley Maclaine got involved in something akin to it and started popularizing this stuff. Now, when this first started happening, and my mom got really into Shirley Maclaine and I was into Buddhism, being the way one tends to be in late adolescence in relation to one's parents, I was kind of more fixated on the differences between what my mom was getting into and what I was getting into. So I was friendly with her, and I didn't argue with her about any of this stuff, but I didn't really encourage it or anything. I didn't really have any deep conversations with Mom about reincarnation and stuff like that, and I kind of wish I had, because I could have, instead of focusing on the differences between what she was into and what I was into, I could have focused on the similarities, and we could have had some basis for communication there. But as I said, I was 18 or 19 years old, and she was my mom, and you're in that age when you're kind of rejecting everything your parents are into and so forth. So it was one of those things. Nowadays, I think of it a little differently. I'm more charitable to the whole thing. To me, it seems like it's a way in for some people. They haven't heard of these ideas at all, and they get a hold of a book by somebody like Shirley Maclaine or one of these kind of folks who are into that stuff, and they get exposed to it, and then it's up to the person whether they want to follow that more deeply and get into something, get into the real deal, or they just want to stick around on the surface of it and look at the pretty crystals and go to the shops and wear the clothes and the sandals and the beads and whatever else it is, the kind of superficial aspects of it. So there's a lot of people who are into the superficial aspects of Hinduism and Buddhism without really understanding what there is to it. And I can kind of forgive that and say, okay, well, it's just not what you're into. You're not into putting the effort into understanding these philosophies and practices as they really are, but you're getting a little bit of exposure to it, so that's okay. The negative side is things like the law of attraction. That comes out of it. And the law of attraction is basically the Christian prosperity gospel applied to Hinduism, which basically says that you try to use this information that you're getting about karma, about reincarnation, about the oneness of all beings, and use it to try to make a lot of money. I mean, there's even versions of Buddhism, that are into that kind of stuff too, and I don't really have much use for that either. So there's that side, but there's also the upside, which it can be kind of a gateway drug, if you will, into something more deep. As to the specific things that the New Age people, the specific aspects of Hinduism and Buddhism that the New Age movement tends to be interested in, they're usually not the greatest stuff. What can I say? They get real into reincarnation, but into this idea of I am going to reincarnate, and I have been all this stuff in a past life, and it becomes a kind of big ego enhancement thing. They're also interested in what the Hindus call siddhis, which are special powers that are supposedly developed during a meditation practice, clairvoyance, I don't know, different abilities and things that are supposed to be enhanced by the psychic powers and all that. But again, the tendency is to use it to try to enhance the self. That I think is what's wrong with it. They miss the part about this being more about trying to dissolve the personal self, trying to let go of the personal self, let's put it that way, and transcend into something bigger. But it tends to be this kind of ego enhancement thing, and a lifestyle enhancement, and what does Frank Zappa call it? It's where you wear the Ramones t-shirt but you've never listened to a Ramones album in your life. It's that kind of level of stuff usually. Of course it can be taken deeper. I often, when I go on book tours, end up speaking at New Age bookstores, and it's something I actually enjoy. I actually have fun at these places because I like looking at the crystals and the decorations and stuff and the various books they have, and I feel like it's an opportunity to introduce people who are interested in that aspect of the thing, of the whole Eastern spirituality thing, to something that might be a little bit more solid and more real, and I hope that I'm able to do that. So I don't want to stop talking at New Age bookstores. So if any New Age bookstores want to book me for a talk, I'll talk, and I might even buy some stuff from you because I like getting those little doodads you sell there, and I think those things are fun. But I do think it's important for some people at least, to take it a little deeper and find out where the roots of these things are. I mean, one way of looking at it from the perspective of a musician is I sometimes think of popular bands that I would hear. For example, Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin is mega popular, and I got so sick of them I started hating them for a while, and now I've kind of come around to being like, okay, Led Zeppelin were a really good band. It's just that they were overdone. But the thing is, hearing Led Zeppelin and hearing some of the songs they did from the blues got me into starting to dig deeper and find out about people like Albert King, and who else did I end up? I really liked Albert King for a long time, one of the great blues players. Getting into stuff like that, Robert Johnson, some of the original stuff that forms the roots of it. So I think sometimes the New Age movement can do that. Can be like a gateway to somebody getting into something deeper. But if you're just going to stick with that, well, more power to you. Have fun, enjoy what you enjoy. That's fine. Whatever hobbies you like, I don't have any qualms with that. But if you want to take it deeper, that's what she said, come read one of my books, take a look at what's going on there, and see if you want to go even deeper and read some actual Dogen and stuff. I think that's a way in, and I think it provides a way in to people, and as such, I don't cast such a forlorn I don't even know if forlornsome is a word. Anyway, I've gone on too long already, so I'm going to end it there. If you want to make a donation to me traveling around to New Age bookstores and talking, you can go to the URL you are seeing on your screen below somewhere, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are pretty much my only ways of making a living, and I really appreciate your support. But as always, this is offered for free, so you don't got to support me if you don't want to support me. We will see you next time. Have a good time all the time, and don't forget, I got a new book coming out in just a couple of weeks, and I was just told that my publishers are going to send me my 50 promotional copies that I get from every book, so they're on their way to me, so I'll show them to you when I get them. So you can go pre-order that. It'll probably show up at the online bookshops in a matter of weeks, and I'll talk about it when it comes out. Anyway, we'll see you later. Have a good time all the time. Bye. What do you think of the New Age movement? What do you think of Shirley Maclaine and all that? And crystals and all those things? No? You don't want a crystal dog necklace? Alright, we'll talk to you later. Bye, Ziggy.